For the past several decades, the US dollar hasn't just been money. It's been the operating system for the entire global economy. It's the default language for buying oil, wheat, and even microchips. This unique position, known as exorbitant privilege, lets America borrow cheaply, impose powerful sanctions, and basically set the rules of the financial game. But now, from Beijing to Brasilia, a quiet revolution is gaining momentum. The recent expansion of BRICS to include major players like Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Egypt isn't just about adding new flags to a group photo. It's about building a genuine alternative to the dollar's kingdom. And for Washington, this isn't just a problem, it's a strategic nightmare, a slow, creeping erosion of power that keeps planners awake at night. First, let's talk about America's ultimate weapon, sanctions. The US has used its control over the global financial messaging system, SWIFT, and the dollar itself as its knockout punch. Being cut off from the dollar system is like being economically excommunicated from the world. But a larger, more integrated BRICS could make this weapon obsolete. Imagine a new financial architecture, a SWIFT alternative, backed by the combined economic force of the world's biggest energy producers, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, the UAE, and its largest industrial workshops, China and India. If this massive bloc starts settling its trillions of dollars in trade using their own currencies, the US loses its main lever of control. The threat that once brought entire nations to their knees simply vanishes. Next is the slow-motion collapse of demand for the dollar. The dollar's value isn't just backed by the strength of the US economy, it's backed by global necessity. Every country needs dollars to buy oil, pay off debts, and build up its reserves. A unified BRICS bloc could shatter this cycle. Think about the domino effect. If the BRICS nations start trading Saudi oil for Chinese goods, or Russian wheat for Indian tech services, using their own currencies, their need to hold trillions in US dollars simply evaporates. They could start selling off those dollar reserves. And as they sell, the dollar's value would start to fall. This would make other central banks nervous, prompting them to sell their dollars too, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. The result could be a slow-motion bank run on the US Treasury market. This would mean skyrocketing interest rates in the US, crushing debt payments, runaway inflation, and a painful decline in the American standard of living, which has long been funded by cheap global credit. Finally, what Washington truly fears isn't a military competitor. It's an economic ecosystem that plays by a different set of rules. And does UNT need American permission to succeed? A bigger BRICS is exactly that, with its own development bank, its own credit rating agencies, and its own interconnected supply chains. An expanded BRICS offers countries a parallel path to growth. This path isn't tied to Washington's demands on policy or geopolitics. For many nations in the global south, this isn't about being anti-American, it's about being It gives them options, and options mean leverage. The scariest part for the US is that this scenario is no longer just a fringe theory. It's a plausible, gradual trend. What if Saudi Arabia decides to price just a small fraction of its oil in a currency other than the dollar? The petrodollar system, the bedrock of dollar demand for 50 years, would develop its first serious crack. Individually, China or Saudi Arabia challenging the dollar is a manageable issue. But a coordinated bloc representing over 45% of the world's population and a majority of its oil reserves is a completely different kind of challenge. It creates a new center of gravity that can pull other nations into its orbit. In the end, the US isn't terrified of a military defeat. It's terrified of becoming irrelevant. It's terrified of losing its role as the sun around which the global economy revolves. A bigger BRICS creates a second sun, a powerful new gravitational center. The doomsday scenario isn't an invasion. It's a world where the US is just one of several options, where it can no longer set the global agenda by default. For a nation that has built its entire strategy on being number one, that is the most terrifying future of all. The real battle for the 21st century isn't being fought with tanks and jets, but in treasury bonds and trade agreements that will decide what the world uses for money. Thanks for watching, and if you found this insightful, make sure to subscribe for more.